Hey, Juventini, and welcome to episode 13, season 4, the All Juve cast. We don't know what's going to happen today because it was a rough one yesterday, but we're going to do our best to break everything down. Of course, Anthony and Cliff with me here this morning, and not the best one to recap, but we'll still have some fun, boys. We'll still have some fun, but
Will we, Al? Hang on, no. Will we have some fun?
we're going to have some fun, I guarantee you. And I'm going to start off by saying something because it really pissed me off yesterday. And basically, that is okay. So, if you're a Juventino, okay, you want to be a Juventino, whatnot, and you take the time to go around parading the fact that your team just lost to Sassuolo for some type of personal clout, and I told you so, that is ridiculous. So if you get called out for that and then you are upset that people don't like that type of support for the team, and then you want to take it out on them, that is an absolute joke. And this is kind of some of the stuff that's been going on. So, you know what I mean? Like these Twitter accounts with these blue check marks that are these massive Juve fans, apparently. I'm not telling anybody how to support the team. I'm also not telling them that they can't critique the team. I critique the team probably more than anybody.
What are we doing here? That's what we do.
Exactly. But again, going around parading the fact that they lost is a hell of a lot different than critiquing the team. So pump the brakes, regroup. Maybe being a Juve fan isn't actually for you after all, and maybe you actually kind of hate them deep down, because in one sentence you're telling me you love Juventus, in the other you're going around saving tweets from 4 weeks ago when we were at 19th or whatever, and you were sure as hell pretty quiet over the past 3.5 weeks as we climbed up the table, and now all of a sudden at the first occasion you want to jump on your team and laugh at them and ridicule them. Not so much. Not so much. Okay. And not for me. So don't come at me with that shit on Twitter, because you're not going to end up having a good discussion and you're not going to like it. So again, you either just back the team or don't. But don't go around messing with fans who still have faith in them, still believe, and at least want to show some faith. Don't go at other fans like that. Keep it to yourself if you want to be super negative and always look at the bad side of things. All right. Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Now, without further
we have no idea what Al is talking about. So there's something that went on in the Twitterverse. Cliff, I don't know if you know, I don't, but hey, buddy, all I'm gonna say is well said to whoever that's for. I don't let that stuff get to me. As you can see, we woke up with a smile on our face. On we go. Let's break this baby down.
Absolutely.
Yep. Al said it phenomenally. I hope it wasn't about me, because I did say Sassuolo would give Juve issues, but I never said anything like parading it.
So no, I did not. I thought we were going to absolutely dust this team yesterday.
Yeah.
And really, we could have.
Yeah, there were a lot of shots, but we'll get into that
in just
bounces.
A minute. Yeah, so, all right, Al, lead the way, buddy.
To, the usual suspects and Bob and Liam and Allegri. We've got Luca with us as well. And again, not the result we were hoping for. A lot of us thought it was going to. And you know what? We're going to get to it, but it should have been a straightforward match for Juventus in this one. For everybody that's joining us and listening to us on the audio version, get over to YouTube, subscribe. I don't know what you're waiting for. Maybe you heard about Cliff's dancing, but it's kind of slowed down a bit. So you're safe to come back to the YouTube world, okay? So, yeah, get over there, subscribe. And by the way, yesterday we had a ton of great articles from our writers. So alljuvecast.com, become a member of the website and gain access to a lot of great articles from diehard Juventini like all of us. Okay,
And they
great
came
work
out
from them.
fast. Game was over, and they, these articles came out fast, and I might have jumped the gun on one too quick because they came out with some good stuff. Yeah, go over and check it out. It's and it's not like Cliff writing stuff. It's actually these are actually smart people putting their thoughts on paper or in print.
That hurts because I used to write articles, but I stopped doing it because I realized it's not really my forte.
It isn't. It isn't for everybody, but the people who jumped in, and I'm not a writer either, Cliff. I'm not going to say I am, but some of these people are, they're doing great work.
Yeah, they are. They're doing a great job, and we got a lot in the hopper for next week as well. So a lot of good stuff there. Now, the matchup. So Juventus Sassuolo. We know, unfortunately, the result, as you see at the bottom there, and the lineup came out again. A lot of negativity over some of the usual suspects. You got Perin in goal, Danilo, Bonucci, Delict, DeCilio across the back, McKennie, Loca, Rabiot, Chiesa, Dybala, Morata. So I saw this, and still, I had no problems. I still thought straightforward victory for Juve. I saw it playing out more as a 4-3-3, though. And that was really not the case. A 4-3-3 would have been great against Sassuolo and would have been the opportunity to use that. But did you guys have any issues with that lineup? Because I put out the tweet saying I still like this lineup. I still like the 3-0 call that I had because it should have been a straightforward match. What we discussed a lot, my tactical breakdown and our match day live, came to fruition. This team was going to play a 4-2-3-1 in Sassuolo, and they were going to leave their backs high and dry, which they did. And we didn't take as much advantage as we should have. But did you have any issues with the lineups, boys?
Go ahead, Cliff.
So for me, you look at this lineup and you still say, okay, this is a whether you think it's a Juve quality lineup or not, it's still a quality enough lineup that you could play against a side that's like, where is Sassuolo now? Like, are they top 10 right now?
They're right behind us. They're tied with us.
Yeah, so if they're in the top 10, like this is still a team that, has a little bit of bite to it. But, with the Juve squad that we have, you would say, yeah, we should still compete. We should still be able to win this match. Rabiot playing on the left mid. I'm not sure. It didn't really look like he transformed it much mid-game, but
that's the issue. You're right, Cliff. Is if this was 4-3-3, I like it a lot better than, again, if you're going 4-4-2 for a number of different reasons. And we'll get to that when we get into the game. Yeah, keep going, man.
Yeah, you can't really leave Rabiot on the left mid. Like, I could see people saying, oh, McKennie might fit better there. I could see maybe why you'd say that. But like you said, I think a 4-3-3 suits this team best. And if you want even Dybala playing like a false 9 or have him as the out-and-out striker, you could do that. But with the lineup as a whole, I didn't have too much of a problem with it because the quality of the team should have prevailed.
Yeah. Anthony, what are your thoughts?
If Dybala doesn't ring that one off the post and Bonucci stays on side on that first one and hits the net, it's 2-0 within 20 minutes and this game is over. Yeah. So I do recall, I think we just went 9 unbeaten before this. So that's right? It was 9 unbeaten. So I'm not going to jump on the panic train. Now we do have holes, but yesterday I do agree that yesterday it just seemed discombobulated. Like it didn't come together. And you're going to get those games. Now, unfortunately, it was against a dog shit team like Sassuolo, and it's at home. But I'm not going to throw the team under the bus. I think Max, he put the players out there. We talked about Rabiot on the left, but Rabiot played good on the left against Zenit. Was it the Zenit game or whatever he had to play on the left? So he's played there before. Like, I don't know. There was so much wrong that you can't really put your finger on what it was. Anto brings out a good point that Locatelli was gassed. I agree with that. You can see that at halftime that he was completely empty. The gas tank was empty with him. So I'm not sure where to put this. Like we put 2 in quick, the game's over.
That still was not an issue, really. Even Locatelli being gassed, was not a huge issue. He was not part of the problem. A lot of the problem was much of the same with Juve, and it's almost too much freedom up top. When you have a team like Sassuolo who played a straightforward game, 4 at the back. Literally, we started taking advantage of them aerially in gaining a lot of field space, and then having 1v1s, which is the guys you want having 1v1s. All of a sudden, we stopped doing that. All of a sudden, we start going to ground, and all of a sudden, McKennie starts getting in the areas we need Chiesa in.
Yeah, that was weird.
And all of a sudden, you've got the left side where you gain all this ground, you get to the final third, and these guys just want to revert and go backwards. And it's just, what are we doing here? Morata struggled and took a lot of heat. Still, why are we not playing off of them if they're leaving their 2 center backs vulnerable? Dybala should have played much tighter to Morata. Dybala was dropping back a lot in order to link up play, but we didn't need to link up that play. He should have been close to him in the area because, again, Sassuolo was hanging back with just 4. So you still, you don't like your chances with Chiesa against their fullbacks? I love those chances. So get Dybala over there. Get him in and around the area, because the times he did, hell, he almost scored.
Yeah.
He rings one off the post. He gets in another one where Concilio makes a big save. We'll get to the highlights here. But for me, it wasn't so much a matter of who, it was how. It wasn't who was on the pitch. It was how we were playing and how we were using these guys. But we'll get to all that here. Now, start off, Anthony already mentioned Bonucci gets in there, and we talked about this prior to. Sassuolo is awful on aerials. We need to take advantage of them. You're going to get opportunities on dead balls when you're having those aerials, even crosses in open play. They're just not strong on them. Bonucci, unfortunately, offside, but he ends up missing the net anyways. Then we get to some of the other opportunities. 6 minute, De Sciglio gets a cross that gets away from the forces, Concilio to put it over the bar. And then 17th minute, Berardi comes back at Juve, and actually this bounced upwards, and Perin made a really, really big save here. That was a huge, huge save by Perin. So that saves our blushes on that one as well. And now let's get to the next one here, 36 minute.
And just one more thing on this is Sassuolo, all their shots except their 2 goals were all from outside the box.
Yeah, really.
They're all from outside.
Yeah, but give Perin credit for what he could do. He wasn't given a lot of support, but he made some good saves. And he played pretty well, all things considered.
Yeah. I don't know. This we didn't allow a whole bunch. And we're roasting the team obviously because of the result, but they had 14 attempts, only 4 maybe on target, which needs to be better. But again, when you go through these opportunities,
3 on target.
Should have been some goals. There should have been some goals here from Juve, and we'll get to the breakdown after and everything. But yeah, Dybala cutting in here, brings it off the bar, not the bar, sorry, the post.
And that's where he's most dangerous, when he's receiving it right outside the box and letting him do his magic in between those players. Multiple times he got the ball right at the edge of the box and just started dancing around players and got really good opportunities. Just, you need to feed him the ball in the final third, because he'll find a way to make something happen.
Yeah.
And I didn't get the snippet, but just before that, Locatelli received a pass from the outside, and he had a heavy touch, and he lost the ball. Yeah. He had to win a 50-50 battle, and kind of squirted out to Dybala. So
yeah,
that was a bad touch by him that actually worked out.
And this is what I mean. This is something. And you look at this. Look at this clip here. You could see just simply 4 defenders back, and they're all collapsed. And you need to have Dybala in and around that area for his technical ability, especially if they're only going to have those 4 guys there. You keep them wide with your wingers, those fullbacks, make them make some options. But Dybala in tight like that, he's got to be there.
And I was going to say,
and Loca was off. He's been off the past couple of games. If that's fatigue, if that's something else, if that's the new haircut, I'm not sure what it is. But I don't think anyone's going to sit here and praise Locatelli's play over the last couple of games.
Yeah, he was off. He wasn't the only one off. And again, in this match, it shouldn't have mattered, to be honest. Like, we should have got by. If you look at the lineup at the start, it's enough to get by. And even with Loka being off, even with a couple others being off, Luca making mention of the left becoming dead when Sandro came on, which I don't fully agree with, but regardless, it's still enough to beat these guys. They didn't shell up. They didn't do anything out of the ordinary of what we should have expected from Sassuolo. Now you get to 40th minute, Chiesa gets an opportunity where he spins and fires on goal, but it goes high. That was a great opportunity as well. Chiesa continues to just not quite be himself. I gotta say, like, he's just not. He's not the Chiesa coming off that Euros, right? Like, there's
and I think something
there.
with Chiesa, I don't know if it was the formation, but it just seemed like McKennie was like a transport truck pushing a little car out to the outside. Like, Chiesa was just stuck out there, and McKennie was just like up and down the middle. And I guess we'll get into McKennie because that's Cliff's boy, but it just didn't seem like Chiesa had the room to operate out there.
Yeah. I don't. And again, it's what I was saying earlier. It's how we used our players. It was really, really awkward and just really, really strange. And then on the flip side of things, not offensively, but defensively, the gaps and the holes, like how easy it was for Sassuolo just to get out of dangerous scenarios was too easy. We're just so spread out in this hybrid thing out of the mid. We just don't have the guys for it. And it's funny because Pirlo was crucified for this stuff last year. And many remain very, very quiet on the hybrid roles this season. Hybrid roles need to stop. We don't have the guys for it. That's just bottom line. Rabiot is not a hybrid midfielder. McKennie is not a hybrid midfielder. Like, it needs to be simple. This should have been a match that was simple. We talked about it so much. Us, okay, just sitting here in our rooms here on a YouTube channel. Line them up and go at Sassuolo, because they're not going to do anything out of the ordinary. 4-2-3-1 from them. You'll face 4 defenders flat at the back. Line up our guys. Your wingers should have, quad, Chiesa on wing, Morata up top with the ball of support. And this nonsense about, well, your 2 pivots, like, is it going to be enough defensively and whatnot? At some
Shouldn't have mattered.
Some point, you need to force teams to play to you and stop playing to them. This is a match we should have not had the fear of Sassuolo. No disrespect to them, but we should have been the ones dictating what goes down.
No, you just totally disrespected them. Yes, and that's fine.
Yeah, I guess a little bit. 43rd minute. Honestly, this is just a great goal.
Right out of your tactical video, this thing. Right out of it.
It's a great goal. They come up the wing there. They find their focal point, and two Sassuolo players make their runs. Fratesi being the one that breaks right through. De Ligt had a bit of an option there, choice to make, because 2 guys were coming in. McKennie was caught out of position. And it's tough. Outside, didn't close it down quick enough, and he ends up burying 1-0 for Sassuolo. And again, it's just one of those. This was a nice goal from Sassuolo. I just said it. I said this. That's a really, really nice goal. Our team was not necessarily a whole lot out of position that they couldn't shut it down, but they just, and it was so fast. It was just bang, bang, bang from Sassuolo. It's a tough one.
I want to say though too, like this goal and then the last goal, just the theme of the match, was being clinical. They didn't have a lot of chances, but they were clinical when it mattered, Sassuolo, and that's really at the end of the day what decides a match, how clinical you are. And Juve had more shots; they didn't have nearly as many that they should have had on target. So that's just really what this match came down to: the little details.
Yeah, and this goal started from a McKennie turnover. Not to jump on McKennie, but it was just a turnover at half, and it was 1 pass out, 1 pass in, 1 pass in the box, and it was in the back of the net.
Yeah, and
3 passes from the turnover. That's it.
And Alex P. hate Sandro. So De Chilio, yes, obviously had an injury early on, non-contact. So something going on there.
We have an update on that. Actually, it sounds like it's going to be a 10-day. From Romeo Agresti said it's going to be a 10-day out minimum because of a lesion.
Okay.
On the leg. So he should be out 10 days. It said.
Okay. Yeah. So there's your update on DeCilio. So 10 days. He was looking good though. Hey guys, Cliff,
Yeah.
he was looking all right.
The thing is, though, I think that changed honestly the match, and I know that sounds kind of silly, but he's been having a good string of matches, and Sandro just looks extremely inept. He does way too much with the ball. He's trying to do basically what Teo Hernandez does on Milan. He tries to take the ball and cut inside, and then literally they shut him down so quickly because he's not as quick as Teo Hernandez. So he just does too much. He does too much with the ball, in my opinion.
I don't know if I'd say it changed the game because it happened so fast. Like DeCilio left in like
17th minute.
17th minute. So I don't necessarily know if it changed the game. It changed an element of the game, but I don't know if I'd necessarily say it changed the game.
But that's 2 games in a row where Allegri had to burn a change in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. That changes things.
That's what I'm saying. It throws a wrench in the whole, the whole tactics of the game. Like you have to prepare for a completely different player that you're putting in. Like Sandro is completely different than the way that DeCilio plays. So it kind of affects like the way he goes about this match and how the players attack the match, I think.
Yeah, and Luca brought up a good point there. Coming in cold. Like, I don't know if I 100% agree with that, but
I don't know.
It does change. Like you definitely have a different mentality if you're starting on the bench or starting on the field. Like you prepare different. Like you prepare mentally in a different manner.
I know, but
that's
honestly,
2 games in a row though.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels like a bit of a reach.
That's
I
fine.
mean, these guys got to be ready to go, and there's really no excuse. And change a game. I don't really know. A game where we had double their opportunities, almost just shy of 14, and just put 3 on target. I don't
wasn't
really
the problem
know. Again,
today.
there are 2 opportunities. They only put 4 on target. 2 of them go in.
And
right?
I want to say what Ant said. He said Sandro wasn't the problem today. I would say he wasn't the only problem today. There were.
We're gonna we'll get to all the actual true breakdowns. Let's rip through some more
we digress.
Clips here. So Cuadrado in for Rabiot at the half. Imagine that an outside player playing on the outside makes sense, doesn't it?
Maybe, just maybe.
Yeah, wild. 54th minute, we get to a header again after a dead ball. These were scenarios we should have been capitalized on. This one was Sandro with the free header, ends up going wide. 56th minute, Raspadori comes back at Juve. He doesn't miss by much, to be honest.
But again, from outside the box, that's what you want to limit your opponents to.
57th minute, Cuadrado. Gets to one, absolutely blasts this thing, but defender for Sassuolo in great position to block it, unfortunately. But again, starting to put the squeeze on, you could see from Juve and really, really pushing. Frustrating part is there was nothing really stopping us from doing that earlier, right? And really clamping down. So, yeah, you could feel the frustrations there. 58th minute, and Dybala gets absolutely robbed by Consigli there. A big stop. And on the follow-up, McKennie heads it back into play, and Chiesa goes high with this one. This was, again, just...
They don't get much easier than that. They don't really...
up the frustrations, man.
Mm-hmm.
And then 63rd minute, Caio Jorge comes in. And 70th minute, man, he attempts a bike.
He was offside.
Yeah, ends up going wide there. But Caio Jorge, Cliff, you would have won if you had the cojones to stick with your bold call there.
I didn't.
63rd minute.
I didn't stay with it.
No, you backed out.
Darn.
That's a shame.
But you guys heard me at the beginning. I was pretty confident he was going to get over 20 minutes originally, and then I was like, "No, I'm going to calm down." So I probably should have went crazy.
When it came time to really clamp down on it, you kind of wimped
but
up.
I'm really happy though to see him getting this types of. I'm happy to see him get these types of minutes.
I agree. It was good, and it was a good showing for him for sure. 70th minute, we talked about the bike attempts, and then 75th minute, McKennie again. Aerial battles like Sassuolo susceptibilities, and McKennie with a great goal, great header in there, 1-1. Make the push, get after this win. We need the 3 points. Unfortunately, we don't get that. Unfortunately, it's worst case scenario. We are caught, completely caught. Berardi plays an absolutely beautiful ball here. McKennie is just not aware of his scenario right now. He's facing the cross here. It's almost like he's oblivious to the guy on his right, and Berardi plays it beautifully. McKennie's never going to catch up, never going to catch Lopez there. And unfortunately, he chips it over Pedin. And
we got fingers to it.
Yeah, he did get fingers on it.
Your game.
But I don't want to blame that on McKennie, though. That's just a defensive breakdown on everybody.
It's not putting it on him, but
you're right. He was caught. He was caught out.
Well, no, it's not even that he was caught out. The whole team was caught out. He's the only man back, but it's weird. His choice of positioning was as if he was unaware that Lopez was there, which is weird to me. That's the only thing. Because if he drops back and plays it safe, you have an opportunity. But I still think there would have been major problems because it looked like it was Bonucci and the clip was still beyond his player.
Can you bring it back up? I can tell you who's who.
Anthony's tactical breakdown right now on the show.
No, because I zoomed in on it before. Doesn't matter. It's actually on the ball is actually. Let me see if I can bring it up.
Yeah. Luca makes a great point too. Like I don't know why
that's Bonucci. That's Bonucci right here.
But he's not near the ball. It's Arthur and Delict that are on the ball, and Bonucci comes from. He's sort of out of the. Yeah, that's Delict and Arthur there. Bonucci, I think, is up near the referee.
Yeah, Delict's right here on Berardi.
Sorry, my camera's in the way.
This is Bonucci here.
Yeah, it just makes no sense why nobody's back. Like, why is Bonucci?
It's a hell of a pass, though. Like, let's.
Oh yeah, give all credit to Berardi.
If McKennie is 5 yards more like towards that player, he cuts that off. So it's just it's just one of those things. Now, when we made those changes in the 80th minute, so we brought in Kulishevsky and Arthur came in. That game, and I didn't want to say it because I knew I was going to jinx it. That game totally had the feel that there was one more goal in it, but I didn't know who was going to get it. It just had that, that 94th minute. It had that in it.
Juve was knocking on the door.
You could feel it.
Juve was knocking on the door a lot of the time. Just nothing, not enough on target.
Yeah. Let's get to our summaries quickly on this one before we get to the players we would choose as the highest rated and then lowest. Again, for me, it's really simple. It was fine for the lineups. It was how we used them. And honestly, like the hybrid roles go out the window. Don't do it. It's useless. It's absolutely useless. You're putting yourself at a disadvantage already. Like, again, we've been saying it since the get-go. Whatever Allegri sees in Rabiot and trying to hope of this offensive prowess, it's not there.
So Al, let me just cut you off there. Maybe if people don't quite understand, what do you mean by when you say hybrid roles? Like, give us a couple examples.
Hybrid role is using Rabiot as an outside mid and expecting him to assist in the support offensively in the phase up there. It's not going to happen. Rabiot, like Allegri, kept going to the well, asking for more goals and saying Rabiot should score all these goals. It's not going to happen. Rabiot had one opportunity in this game where his shot was blocked by the defender on a one-timer at the top of the area. Outside of that, he literally contributed nothing. Nothing.
He'll be lucky if he gets 4 goals this season.
He did nothing in this one. He was, and it's a wasted position. Then you have Cuadrado who comes in, and it seems to make sense. Having Cuadrado, imagine that Cuadrado on one side, Chiesa on another. These are guys that can play the outside. It makes no sense to me to play somebody on the outside that's going to face a lot of 1v1s that doesn't have the technical ability to do so. It doesn't make sense. When you look across and you look at other teams, who are their players that are playing on the outside? Guys with pace, guys that with good dribbling ability. That's typically what you need and what you're looking for on the outsides. So a hybrid role where you're using one of your midfielders to cover in that area, strange. is it's strange. 4-3-3, this one could have been fine even with Dybala, because people were saying, well, why would you expect 4-3-3 if Dybala is out there? Because if you were going to push up with, say, Danilo and keep either Deshilo back, whichever side you push up with, that allows the freedom for Dybala to slot in centrally. Exactly what we're seeing out of the Azzurri under Mancini and how he plays his 4-3-3. So there is room for Dybala and this particular setup to play out in a 4-3-3. It's just this hybrid thing. It's awkward. It's always awkward, and it leaves a hole on the pitch where you're not up to full strength. And that's the frustrating part. Again, everything else, too much awkwardness in the construction of our setup, even with McKennie and Chiesa. It was awkward there. They started to do good, but again, when they were doing well, it was getting McKennie in the positions you actually needed Chiesa in. Because
right. Yep.
I don't want McKennie crossing balls in from deep in there or trying to take guys 1v1. I'd actually like him on the other side, the flip side, where he can get to the end of crosses or something. Like I said before this one, if you're going to play McKennie, this would be a match because Sassuolo is so weak aerially, right? So for me, it was not so much who, it was how. And that's just how I feel with this one. Frustrating loss. Again, people that want to go, jump off the ledge here, we had a lot of opportunities. We still had a lot of opportunities. The guys need to bury them. What I'm afraid of, what worries me, we got a lot of quality opportunities last season under Pirlo and how he played. That's one thing. That team generated an absurd amount of chances.
I believe we were way out in front. I think you talked about it a lot last year, how chances created. I think we were way out in front.
We had the most big opportunities missed, quality chances missed. We're not clinical then when we were generating a lot. If we cut back now in this season, a season without CR7, that has to change. And I think it has a lot to do with how he's using his players. Max needs to get this down and figured out for the most efficient. There are going to be, and there's no one size fits all. That's what my biggest thing is. Slapping this 4-4-2 across the board, that's not the way to do it. He's going to have to change when he makes his rotations to avoid scenarios like this where you end up with a flank that's really just inefficient. He's going to have to figure out that, hey, with this group, 4-2-3-1's a play. Oh, with this group, I could do my 4-4-2. And then there's going to be opportunities for 4-3-3. And again, factoring in how the opponent plays. So Max gets a very low rating for me in this one, to be honest. Not all on him, but yeah, I don't like the freedom up front. I think it needs to be structured. This is something I've said for Juve quite a few years now, since this transitional thing. We need structure up at the top. But that's it for me. Let's get your guys' summaries as we get to the man of the match and then all the outside topics. Go ahead, boys.
And do you want to hit it first?
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Cliff.
Okay.
I'm just writing some stuff down.
There's a lot to hit on. Al, you obviously hit on a lot of different topics. So first of all, with Rabiot, man, 6'4", and he moves like a freaking bus. He's
beautiful salad, though.
Beautiful salad, which if people don't know what salad is, it's the flow, it's the hair, it's the curly locks, whatever you want to call him. But, he's not Zaniolo. He's not a guy who's really tall and really technical and really athletic. He's just not that guy. You're not that guy, Rabiot. I'm sorry. But from a formation standpoint, from a player personnel standpoint, I think this team is still growing into itself. Allegri, I've seen the mentality is starting to shift in the team. This was one of those games where it wasn't there. But for the most part, in the unbeaten streak that Ant alluded to, we've seen a changing of mentality. We've seen a lot of grit. We've seen a lot of passion. This was not one of those games. I don't know what it was, but it didn't seem like the team was playing up to their opponent. They seemed like they played down to them in some aspects of the game. And like I said, the theme of this match was being clinical. They weren't clinical in their execution, in their finishing. The two glaring spots, people will say, oh, the midfield wasn't solid, and it wasn't. But the wingers, Sandro and Cuadrado. As great as Cuadrado is, way too many turnovers in key positions. Sandro, way too many turnovers in key positions.
Mm-hmm.
You love them for in certain positions when they're able to meg someone or do something flary. It's great, 1 or 2 offs. That's great, but you can't do this every single time. You need to know situationally as Cuadrado is. He's a very very flary player, very technical player. Sometimes he'll get by his player, but sometimes you have to have the ability and the IQ to realize, okay, this is not the situation to try to get past this guy. Let me pass it back, recycle the play, get the build up going, get the possession going. Don't try to be too cheeky, because there are plenty of times where we got caught out when him or Sandro did too much, and it burns me to such a I'm seething at the mouth. I'm like, why don't we just play simple at some points? You don't have to make you don't have to be hero ball every single play. You can build up the play, get things going. From the midfield perspective, Locatelli is of Juve quality to be starting. Artur has not been starting consistently because he's coming back, from injury. He needs to get back to full fitness. I think a 4-2-3-1 suits this team best with those two in the midfield. I think Dybala feels he needs to do too much. He needs to drop back in and help the build up because he feels that it's not quality enough. And I think he's right in that perspective. But McKennie should be a super sub. Betancourt should be a sub. Rabiot should be a sub. They should not be starting in the key matches. They need one more guy to bring into that midfield. I will say it to the cows come home. Rovella slots into this midfield in games like this. He slots as a midfielder in this game. Ant hates that.
Okay, so the live chat's really taken off. So and there's some great topics for us to discuss in
absolutely.
there. Now we just need to get Anthony's take on his summary, and then we're gonna quickly drop our man of the match, our lowest rated, and then we're gonna get to some of the stuff that's going on because there's some really good stuff in the live chat right now. So Anthony, fire away, my man.
I'm not gonna reiterate anything you guys said because you guys are all spot on except for the Ravella thing, because he is not a Juventus player. He isn't until June 2022. So I'll just get to the numbers. 5 offsides at halftime, way too much. We had 2 in the first 2 minutes. Sassuolo, the one thing I'll give them credit for, they play a nasty offside trap. That's something that that just comes with time and experience, and they run that thing to perfection. I was actually pretty impressed with that.
They have to too, because they're only 4. They're literally leaving 4, and that might be a reason why. And that's a good shout, is because that's why it's so tight, because they don't add those 2 extras in there from the wings. Like all their midfielders are always ahead of the back line.
Yeah,
that's a great point.
It was unbelievable. Because I used to run that in my younger days with my crew, and it was if you can do it, it's awesome. If you mess it up, you're caught every time. Now we had 10 shots inside the box of our 14 total. 10.
Yeah.
You got to put some of those in the back of the net. I don't care if they're blocked or what they are. 10 inside the box. We had 0 counterattacks. 0. That can't happen, right? How do you go in a game against Sassuolo when you don't generate anything through the middle? Like, everything kind of just flowed to the side. It was kind of a slow build up whenever we got it. We didn't try and catch them. So, and the other one, the one that was a big one that I couldn't believe, was we had 0 through balls.
Yeah.
0. So we didn't, that means there was nothing was built up through the middle, and we weren't, like, Morata was, I think Morata had a bad game yesterday, so I'll get to that, but 0 through balls. So nothing generated through the box. And then how many did Sassuolo had? I think they had 3, and one of them went in the back of the net, or 2 went in the back of the net.
Yeah. It's tough with Morata too. Because he's on an island again. I talked about it earlier. There's nobody playing off of him whatsoever. Like, absolutely nobody. And the one funny thing is, when we do tactical breakdowns, like, and I'm doing this and I'm watching other teams, there's always clear ideas, patterns, structures. I'm breaking down Juve. I couldn't tell you what the hell we're trying to do. I couldn't tell you, because you've got guys all over the place. McKennie's on a wing standing next to Dybala. All of a sudden, Chiesa's like up top and just stand there, not making through runs, anything. All of a sudden, they flip it up. Now, all of a sudden, Dybala's on the far side. He's gonna link up with Morata for one play. It's like, okay, like get them tighter, and then all of a sudden it just switches all over the place again, and it's just they need structure. These guys need structure. We talk a lot about footballing IQ, and people aren't necessarily wrong when they say that it's quality of players, but footballing IQ has a lot to do with that too, and you need to simplify things for these guys. Going back to when Anthony was asking me about hybrid roles play a factor in that as well. You have to have the IQ to be able to do that properly and effectively. We don't have the guys to do that. I'm telling you. Outside, like even in a match where Loka struggles, when you've got McKennie and you've got Rabiot there, that's trouble. And we had Arthur on the bench. So McKennie played good. Okay, he played a good game, but technically he didn't on the ball. And that's like kind of the thing that continues to kind of hurt him is technically like opportunities where plays get shut down because his touch lets him down. Passing was atrocious at times for McKennie. Rabiot offered nothing, even less. Okay, that's a problem. That's a problem when 2 out of your 3 midfielders struggle. But Weston, again, I don't want, because I know like I'm gonna hear Luca jump up here in a second having a conniption. He didn't play a bad game, okay? But there's issues in the midfield there that don't get addressed because what are we doing? Something
No idea.
we talked about a lot. Supporting midfielders. You have 2 supporting midfielders in with Locatelli. Arthur and Locatelli are massive for this team, but not split up. They need to play together. It needs to happen. And if Arthur, even Arthur at the start of this game, give you 50 minutes, the structure would have been better.
Mm-hmm.
McKennie would have been able to do what he needs to do. It would have been better. Locatelli could support the left side, but we still would have had a problem in the sense that we don't have a true outside strength on that left side until Cuadrado came and we shifted Chiesa there. So there's structural issues.
I wanted to say there were also spells where, yeah, McKennie definitely, you're 100% right. You hit spot on. He didn't have his best game. He scored the goal, but aside from that, some positions he was in good positions, but the passing wasn't there. Holding possession wasn't there. But there were a lot of like moments where the whole team couldn't complete a pass. It was awful. It was some of the sloppiest football I've ever seen from
Five.
Juve. Like
Five is the most passes we completed in a row. Actually, sorry, it was 6.
That's
Sassuolo,
awful.
the most they completed in a row was 5.
That's awful. And I think Artur fixes that. I think you put him in there to start. You see a lot more passes completed. Not like advancing passes, but just getting the players into the match, getting them comfortable on the ball, getting the passes going. Yeah, it's just it's kind of tough to see. But then Omer actually made a good point. He said not to stir anything up, but everything went south when Deschilio came out, echoing my point. I think kind of things went a little bit down when Deschilio came out. But overall, like you said, the midfield, I think it's not quality enough. You have to bring in one more quality midfielder because from an IQ perspective, I think there are 3 players with high IQ in this team right now. Bonucci, Chiellini, Dybala. Those are the only 3 players who think at an extremely high level on this team.
Yeah. We got, again, there's a lot of good stuff up here that we got to go back to. But real quick, Striped Arts Apparel sponsored man of the match and lowest rated. Anthony.
I think we're all going to agree that Dybala was the highest rated player. Well, for me, he was.
I had Dybala, even
no
though
doubt.
there was spurts, he even faded in and out, but that tells you a lot about the game. I had Dybala.
Yeah, I think pretty easy. It was him. For me, I'm not going to pick Rabiot because I think others might, simply because our whole game in the first half was up the right side with Chiesa and McKennie. It just seemed like we were going up that side the whole time. I would say Morata would be my lowest rate as a number 9. He just didn't. I know he didn't have anyone playing off him, but his hold up play wasn't there. We needed him to be visible, and he was invisible to me. Yesterday.
Cliff.
Everybody knows I have a Rabiot agenda, but this is the one match I won't give it to him just because the thing that bothers me the most is either Cuadrado or Sandro just too many losses of possessions. You can't lose the ball from the wing because then everything gets started on the counter and puts us in such a precarious position defensively. So honestly, pick your poison. Probably I'd lean towards Sandro. But you can make a case for both because Sandro was coming off the bench and then Cuadrado. I mean, he had good moments, so it's really tough to pick one. But I guess I'll lean towards Cuadrado because he should be smarter than that, giving the ball up too many times.
And
Yeah,
Danilo, there's a shout out here for Danilo, Mr. Consistency lately, right? He's just there,
The only thing
steady Eddie.
I just hate when he takes outside the box shots. Like he thinks he's Dani Alves back in his prime. Like you can't be taking shots like screamers from outside the box. Like why are you doing that? Like you're not that guy.
I think if I'm gonna go for lowest, I'd probably have to say Morata, just because this match he should have been like when you've got a back line that plays in just 4 center backs that are left out to dry, you've got to take advantage. The fact that he was unable to, frustrating. I'd probably give it to him. Again, there's a lot of shouts that you could put for lowest, and that tells you it's got to be something systemic, right? It's got to be a bit of system when you're talking about games where you've got multiple guys struggling. That's more than just the players, It's a bit of structure and setup, and that's why I'm getting into that a lot, because you don't just have a game where half your lineup is struggling.
What is Luca and Lucci saying, man? Like just because
don't worry about it. We got a lot.
I'm sorry.
We'll get to that in the group chat.
So I got to go back and find some of this stuff, but they talked about a lot here. Artur having to be in there. Kulishevsky. Does Kulishevsky need to start getting more minutes and being deployed at that left mid role if it's going to be playing something like Rabiot in there? And that's a good shout. And the funny thing with Kulishevsky is you don't 100% know where he's going to be best with us, right? Like, I don't know with Kulishevsky. Like, I'd say, yeah, you're going to do an outside role if we're in a 4-4-2, right? Again, the funny thing is you're going to have still 2 main central midfielders. So this fear that everybody has about going to the 4-2-3-1 because of balance and the defensive phase is still there. So why not just line ourselves up in a true 4-2-3-1 and just go?
Like, the only time I've seen I might get crucified for this, but let me word it carefully. He's not the best player to play beside Morata, but he does the right amount of work for someone to play off a number 9 in a 4-4-2. He's not the best player to do it, right? But he does, he has the work ethic with that as that second striker. He plays close to the number 9, plays off him, plays with him. I'm not saying he's the best player to do it, but he seems to put in his best work when he plays in that second role up top.
Yeah. That's a really good point, Ann. I mean, I like Kulusevski over Rabiot on the wing purely because effort. I think you see more effort from him. The only thing that scares me is I love to see players with effort, but when the best quality of a player, I think, is their effort, that says a lot. If you can't pick out like another ability that they have that is better than their effort given, that's a little bit of a problem. Like Dybala, his dribbling is his best quality, and his creativity. Like, I think it's effort's great, but if that's your best quality, that's kind of tough because you need to be able to have technical ability, like when you're playing on the pitch.
Yeah. Tough thing with Kulishevsky is the reason he puts himself in between is that as a winger, he's not going to make those runs. He's not going to attack space. So he kind of hurts himself as playing as a true out-and-out winger.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something Chiesa needs to get back into is play truly as a winger. And again, when you watch Sassuolo's 4-2-3-1, very, very clear ideas. And their wingers attack space. They send one of their trequartistas, so to speak, will go into corners to take defenders away, and then their 9 gains more space. Our players don't seem to attack space. We always want that ball at the feet and go from there. We need to start doing that. The only guy we really see do that a lot when played in a winger position or a role where he can do that is Bernardeschi, to be honest. Morata does as well, but he's our 9, and sometimes it gets him out of the areas we need him in. So it's really, really awkward. And I'm not so sure why we're doing it in this game. We should have been able to, because they didn't put a low block whatsoever. We had the opportunities to do that. And there was a time, there was a span of 15 minutes where we were launching aerial balls and Dybala was getting into it. Chiesa was getting to it. Morata was getting to it. And it was good. We were getting down in their end. We were starting to pull them back. But then outside of that, it just slowed right down. And then we just went into it's like Max's game. We always just get into this slow possession type thing.
Yeah.
Kulishevsky, finding a spot for him is a little bit difficult right now. And it's frustrating because I think he's a talented player. And I just don't know if we're going to be able to get
where
the
is he
best out of him
talented?
and unlock it.
Where is he talented?
I'm starting to feel that.
Like where is he going to shine, right?
Exactly. I couldn't tell you right now at this point. Artur and Locatelli, for me, that's the sad part about this midfield, is that Locatelli helps a lot, Artur helps a lot, but if you're splitting them up like Max has been, it doesn't really do you any good. The rest of the guys are supporting midfielders, and it's pick your poison with each and every one of the other guys. It really is. And even Artur has a pick your poison type scenario in him, because if you're looking at having 2 mains, his defensive phase comes into question. So Max, is he doing the best with what he has? Has he kind of shot himself in the foot? Do we need to look at alternative setups? Let's get to the Allegri talk, because it's so funny, because now a lot of the questions going out there are, is he still, and I'm sorry, mister, are you the right guy? Are you the right guy still? Do we feel that way? There's a lot of talk on Twitter, mister. I'm sorry, but are you still the right guy? Let's get your thoughts on Allegri.
I'll keep it short. We went 9 unbeaten with the same coach, same players. So I don't doubt that we can't do it again. We got another string of games here. I think it's 3 games until the international break. He'll run another. We'll go through another unbeaten streak. I honestly have no doubt about that. The team that this is the team that he inherited, and I tell you guys in the private chat all the time. It's the January transfer window. I don't see anybody coming in, but what deals get done there? Next summer is Max's summer. We just need to ride out this season. Try and make top 4. Hopefully, you can win a Scudetto, but we got out with the old, in with the new, and that's not going to happen in October. These are the players that Max has, and we'll see what happens next summer. So for me, I'm just riding it out.
Do you think then, in what you're saying, it's a player quality issue?
I think we all agree that we have a player quality issue, especially in the middle, and that's not going to get addressed right now. There's no way to address it until the transfer window.
Cliff.
I agree with that in some respects. I think Allegri just got us to a 9-game unbeaten streak. He is a quality manager. He can only manage what is given to him. He can only manage what's in front of him. He's given a midfield where the best player is a 22-year-old who got a really good run of form in like the last 2 seasons and who's become a good, reliable center mid. But you're relying on a 22-year-old to bring in and fix all of your problems. That doesn't happen in the midfield. It doesn't fix all of your problems. You need to pair him, and Artur might be that guy. If you play them consistently together, maybe you see a turn of the tides. But I think you need another quality rotational piece, whether it's a veteran midfielder who can calm the nerves at times of those players and control the pace of the game, or you bring in a prolific younger midfielder to play alongside Artur. A name that's been thrown out there is Tuchemeni. a lot of people have thrown his name out there. I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of him play, but from what I've heard, he has the qualities to slot into this team because McKennie, Rabiot, and Bentancur are not quality enough to start consistently in that midfield. Um, like I said, Allegri's doing the best with what he has. You can't put it on him. You can't put it all on him. You can't put it also on the players because he puts them in the situations to be successful. And not everybody we haven't always thought he's put them in the best situations in games.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it comes down to the quality of the midfield because you put the wingers and these defenders with the team that we had in the midfield of the mid 2010s. I think you have a much different story on your hands. But I think we're in a transition phase. I think we're in a phase where we're still developing. We're still bringing in new players. We still have young players in the wings, Fagioli, Robella, Ranocchia. We have Kai Jorge. We have all these different players. It will come together at some point. I'm not sure if it's this season, but it's a process. People need to trust this process. They need to understand you can't win the Scudetto every single year. It's very difficult. We did it for 9 years, but you need times to transition. You need times where you're going to have some difficult times. Madrid had that. Man United, you're seeing, is going through a difficult time. You're seeing Barcelona go through a very difficult time. There are transition phases with these best teams, and I think the best for Juventus is yet to come.
Is our squad so terrible that we resort to saying he's doing the best with what he has?
We're a top 4 team in Italy. That's we're technically we're a top 4 team in Italy, and he didn't get it right yesterday. I think we agree he didn't get it right, but I'm not going to say that he's the wrong manager. We got to completely throw the baby out with the bathwater, but we're almost there, and I think we can all agree that we're almost there.
This is men coming in here, guys. Talk about how to improve scoring goals because that's the only problem we have. If we can score more than 2 goals, we'll win Scudetto. Listen, the goal scoring issues again tie in a lot to what we as fans believe personally in regards to our setup, how we play. Are we maximizing the players we do have? Because saying that he's doing the best with what he has he actually done the best with what he has? Because Dan Lucci is starting to touch on something that I spoke to earlier, which is it's not a one-size-fits-all and can't be with these players. Max should have already learned, and I thought he already learned that at the start of the season with those struggles in the rotation of these players. This is now 3 times so far this season that we've said he needs to be careful in the rotation, and the reason is because of his roster. So to say that he's doing the best with what he has, I don't fully agree, but I also wouldn't say that he's completely mismanaging the roster in any way, shape, or form. And there's been some injuries he's had to work through and whatnot, which he's done a good job. But I do have to question when something is straightforward in front of you, how you can just not get the job done. Like this should have been, again, even with those players out there, straightforward. But when you see that structural issue, I don't understand how the adjustments weren't there to get the job done. There really wasn't any adjustment other than introducing Cuadrado. And Cuadrado has not been himself either. This is another part why it's not all on Allegri. Chiesa, not really himself. We can agree on that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cuadrado, far. He's almost like reverted full circle. Okay, with Cuadrado. These are 2 major impact players for Juventus that have been pretty much subpar for a string of how many matches now they've been since the break that they've been subpar for? 3 at least, I think. Including
Zenit?
Yeah. Like
3.
These are impact guys that are off. Morata he needs to step it up. Dybala was our bright spot, and even he, as we said, faded in and out yesterday.
Yeah. I think it's coming down to the players.
That can't happen. You're always gonna struggle. The goals, in terms of the goals, we have not found the best rhythm for us. Like if you look at some of our games, we come out of some of them with 10 attempts. You've had a couple where you hit 15, 16. Then you have some where you're below 10. There's not a real true rhythm, right? Like there's not like a steady, consistent thing. And that's going to change based on who you play as well. So my thing with what Lucci was saying, plan B, sometimes even plan C, you have to start trying to realize like it's not one size fits all with these players. It isn't. He's going to have to change. When Dybala's in there, it should change. If Dybala's out of the lineup, it should change. Midfielders, he's got to understand their capabilities and not put them in opportunities where it leaves half of your pitch dead, because that's going to obviously affect your goal scoring when you can only attack through one avenue. It's always going to affect your goal scoring.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So again, there's a lot to take in here. Nobody's going to figure out the answer here. I mean, honestly, the team, is it like as dire as everybody?
I got to get to Anto's comment. I got to respond to that right there.
Which one?
Right there. Second last one. Now, what I want people to understand before I say this is that Antonio is my spirit animal. So before I say that, much love for Antonio. We lost to Napoli. They beat our B side and they needed 2 mistakes. We beat Rome. We tied Inter. We tied AC Milan. Those top 4 teams. We are currently 4 points out of 4th and 6 points out of 3rd. We're a top 4 team. We're not playing like it, but we are 100% a top 4 team. None of those teams scare me. Napoli, maybe a little bit. Napoli's on a roll. They're playing well. Other than that, there is no reason why we cannot be in that top 4.
Yeah.
No reason. We're shooting ourselves in the foot. But in this season, we're a top 4. We're a top 4 team.
100%.
We fired up the standings quickly, and we still haven't reached to it. And this is the thing we all have to understand. We know, all of us here, everyone in the live chat, everybody listening, we know Juve is capable of far more, and we've still gotten these results against the top teams.
Yeah, we're not playing great. I think we all agree that we're not playing great. I think there's more in the tank. It's. I think we're all kind of confused and bewildered on how do we unlock that. How do we unlock it? Like what needs to be done? And I don't think anybody really has the answer.
I will say though, when we do get it right, and we will get it right in some matches this season, when we play our perfect ball, which I think we'll see a handful of times,
it's gonna be scary.
I think it will look beautiful when players are firing. And just this is hypothetical. Obviously, this didn't happen. Imagine we put 5 more shots on target. I think you say, wow, we could have blown this Sassuolo team out, and I think we'd be hearing a much different story. Obviously, this is all buts, ifs, and maybes, but I think when we see this team firing on all cylinders, we're going to say, wow, this is Allegri ball at its best. This is this team firing at its best. And I think we can all agree, because I've heard people swaying this around on Twitter and stuff, this team is best when Dybala is in the lineup. Don't kid yourselves. When Dybala is in this team, we see the best out of Juve.
Yeah, it's just, again, it's different also on where Dybala occupies on the pitch. And it changes, right? And that's the thing. It's putting it all together. Another thing with the rotation and everything, and I understand some saying that when you get to the combinations of the players and one size fits all, it's not one size fits all. You need to rotate as per the guys. But then the argument becomes, how are they going to gain any type of chemistry? Well, the thing is that we've been playing this 4-4-2 for quite some time now, and you still see, based on how freewheeling it is up at the top, that the players don't understand. They don't have a full understanding of where these other players are. That's why I think it comes down to structure at the top. It's funny because I went back to shows from Max Allegri's final season before his last season, before we made the changes, and I was saying the same thing. He needs to just come up with a structure up at the top, set designs. When have you seen Juve score a goal that looked like it was literally off the training pitch? Couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you.
Maybe the free kick. That's just about it.
Like, yeah, you just
It all starts in training.
these ideas, right? Like I got to see more of it offensively. And Max Allegri is notorious, and we know about the interviews way back then when it was all about freewheeling up in the final 30 yards of the pitch. I don't like that. I don't like that. We need structure. Chemistry will be built once everybody understands where one another is going to be. Right now, that's not even there. So you enter some stud midfielders, they're still going to struggle in that aspect. Is where is this guy, right? There's a lot to work on. We still have a lot of work to do. All is not lost, okay? The margin of error has become very, very minimal for the time being. It is what it is. We got to continue to grind on. The frustrating part for me, this was a match. No matter what Max says, he was saying this is harder than the Inter match. It wasn't. This was a straightforward match. The one this weekend against Verona, that's a tougher match than this one should have been. So we got to get it back together and regroup. Have to get the win on Saturday. Cliff, what do you want to touch on?
One last thing. Sorry to interrupt, but you said the final third free flowing. The only exception I will say, there's only one player you let do whatever the hell he wants in the final third, and that's Dybala. You let him do whatever he wants in the final third.
I thought you were gonna dance. I really thought you were gonna dance.
No. I'm not. I'm not gonna dance.
Well, I disagree with that too, because here we are talking about when he drifts out to the flank, right? And it creates. He was not close enough to Morata to form any type of link with him. He 9 times out of 10 in this game, he wasn't close enough. So I get what you're saying though, Cliff, because, and again, the freedom can be there, but it should be centralized.
Yeah, you need to stay your position now.
Stay within the lines of the area. He
fine.
does not need to get out to the byline and whatnot. So I do agree with you in a sense of freedom there, but give him an area. It can't be so massive as the entire pitch.
We'll talk about it off the show, because I won't rant, but I want to touch on a few things off the show because I disagree a little bit, but that's okay. We're allowed to disagree on this show.
Don't worry, everybody.
No, you're not allowed to, Cliff. Don't make that mistake ever again.
Everyone's all panicked. Look at Luke. Everybody's all panicky about Saturday. Don't worry. We'll win 1-0 away, and then Then we go into Champions League next week. Mark my words.
Look, this one got
1-0 FC back on Saturday.
This one got away from us. But again, I was hearing banter era relegation talk.
Oh my god!
3.5 weeks ago, and we went on a big run.
Keep the salt coming, people. Keep it coming.
It's gonna be all right, guys. And if we're a top 4 team. Okay, There's no question with that. Can it go above that? We have to wait and see. The season is long. It is long, and there's going to be ebbs and flows. This one again. I hate to say it because I hated this and hearing about it, learning their lesson. Max Allegri, why I give him some blame, I'm going to finish on this note, is because he needs to learn the lessons that we've taken so far in this short start of the season. The players need to get it together and hone it in, because we've had too many key guys that have been floating. That can't happen. The key guys need to be key guys, and Max needs a full understanding of what he has at his disposal. So it all has to come together still. But we continue to grind on, and it is Fino alla Fina. And hey, I saw a comment earlier, and it really tells the story, okay? And basically, I'm going to try to find it here, and it was just, I hate the fact that it's faith in the Scudetto rather than knowing. That is how you sum up the incredible decade that we've had, is that you have a feeling where this is what it should feel like. This is what it used to be like when I grew up supporting Juve. It wasn't a given. I grew up watching them during the most incredible stretch of Serie A that they've ever had, and never take the wins for granted. And hey, we got to do a little work to get back. That's fine. We went through a banter era and then won 9 straight. Juve will get back to the top, everybody. And it might not happen this season. We might have to wait for a transfer window and whatnot. But again, let's keep it cool. Let's watch what the guys can do. There's a lot of season left to be played. What do I make of Nedved's reactions? Nedved is like watching myself. So whenever you see Nedved, that is almost like live footage of Alberto. Okay.
Pretty close.
Yeah, he pretty much sums
Not
it
the
up.
same hair, but that's it.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
He's
But
got some
everybody,
nice talent.
yeah, this one got away. Let's go into the weekend. Again, I'll give you a tactical breakdown against Verona, which I am calling right now is going to be a lot tougher than this one. And maybe because I'm calling that, that'll be the game where we blow out for 3 goals, but I doubt it. But that's going to be a tough one. Tactical breakdown coming up, match day live, and then post-match podcast. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Hey, everybody that's here, get the likes going, okay? Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new here. And if you're listening to audio again, get over to YouTube, subscribe. We've got another major announcement coming out in the next couple days as well, which will have our boy Cliffy here involved. And alluvcast.com. A lot of great articles being read. Get over
Fantastic.
there and subscribe to the website as well. All right, everybody. As always, no matter what, it's Fino alla fine till the end. Forza Juventus. We'll talk to you this weekend. Ciao.